There's some talk about the Warlock in 1D&D being overpowered, being out of control, needing a nerf. Largely because it does everything that a martial character is supposed to do, but better. And that's true. That's true. It does do that. But it has always done that since the beginning of 5th edition because martials are dog shit. So nothing actually has changed except that the difference has become more noticeable with the new playtest packet. People are calling for the Warlock to be nerfed. Others are saying, like, this is what you wanted, an overpowered Warlock. I've seen these threads on Reddit here and there, all over the place. Honestly, the Warlock is the best designed class in 5th edition. It has a lot of tools, but it does not cover every niche. It's got like a little bit here, a little bit there. You can specialize or you can generalize. You probably aren't going to be the best at everything. In fact, you definitely aren't going to be the best at everything rather, if there's a full caster in your party. You're going to be outclassed by clerics and wizards and bards and druids, simply on account of how many spell slots they have. And a large part of your power comes from the ability to recover spell slots on a short rest. The problem with that mechanic being that 5th edition doesn't have any standardized short rest expectations. In your basic adventuring day, the figure 6 to 8 encounters per day has been bandied about. And I think most tables, in fact, a survey was recently done. It looks like 1 or 2 short rests per day is like standard. And if you do that, the Warlock still ends up with fewer spell slots per day than a full caster, because there's no standard expectation for number of short rests per day, which is really weird since you have an entire class predicated on the idea that you get your resources back with this mechanic that doesn't occur regularly. A lot of modules and a lot of campaigns are going to have your single encounter adventuring day, at which point the Warlock has enough spell slots to really make it through and not notice. But when you start getting into like the 2 or 3 encounter adventuring days, which are also not uncommon, they really have to stretch their resources thinner than most casters. Ultimately, they have tons more resources than martials. And by the way, one of the best things about Warlocks, and the reason why I think they're so well designed, is due to their customization. The invocation system is just great for ensuring that you have meaningful, interesting choices to make every time you level up. And those interesting choices often add to the interesting choices that you're making on a turn-to-turn basis. The Warlock is just really, like, I don't really like 5th edition class design in general, but Warlock's got to be the best. Warlock's got to be the best. It's because you're not the god tier class that a wizard is, where you make a few good decisions and then you just sort of like snap a spell slot out at the start of every battle to make it not meaningful. You know, that's too much. And then you have on the other side the non-casters, lol, who can't really do anything other than your basic bonk. But Warlock's like right there in the middle. I consider the Warlock to be a B tier class, nice and average, which is where you kind of want everyone to be honest. Like in a perfect world. The thing is, if you nerf Warlock into oblivion, if you make it less viable than it is, and you don't do the same to all of the full casters, you are being a hypocrite. Not you personally, obviously. I'm talking about Wizards of the Coast. Like there's so many more problems. Marshals need huge boosts. Half casters need a little bit of a boost, because I consider the Warlock to be above a half caster, just a little bit. Half casters need to be boosted up to Warlock's level. Marshals need to be boosted up to Warlock's level, and then I would take all the full casters and bring them down to that level because they're kind of ridiculous. How you do that? You gotta nerf spells. You gotta nerf spells. You cannot have casters playing on the same battlefield as non-casters without nerfing spells, because the spells are ridiculous. Yeah, that's my thoughts. Warlock is fine. It's so fine. It's fine. You don't need to mess with it.